this is Sonali. Thank you all for carving out some time for attending today's webinar on the episode 3 of the SME series, which is all about business transformation and revival. Through our SME series, we want to share some great insights into what our market leaders are seeing and tips on how to navigate your business transformation through the next few months. We bring together a panel of experts every week to discuss the challenges we are seeing and are likely to see in the coming months. Our goal here is to inspire and educate SMEs in India on how they can also overcome and thrive during this time by digitally and technologically empowering themselves. To all the attendees out there, please type in any questions you might have in the Q&A section and we'll try to answer as many as possible at the end of the session. I would now like to introduce our esteemed panelists for the day. Our first panelist is Mr. Pugal, who is a senior consultant at Tally Solutions Private Limited. He also joined us for the episode 1 of the SME series, which was about leveraging technology for business growth. That specific episode was very well received by the audience. And Mr. Pugal, it's a pleasure having you today with us.
Thank you, Sonali.
Our second speaker for the day is Mr. Miloy Chakravarti, who is the business growth expert for MSMEs and a business coach at Action Coach. Mr. Miloy was also joined us for a wonderful session on changing your mind and changing your life when all of this crisis initially started. That particular session was one of the most well-received sessions that we had. And once again, it's a pleasure to have you also with us, Mr. Miloy.
Thank you so much, Sonali.
Yes, sir. So anything you would like to share in the start before we just get into the discussion?
You mean us, the panelists?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much, Sonali, for the invitation, and happy to be here, and great to be introduced to Mr. Pugal, whom I've heard about but never interacted. From very briefly, I think this is a very interesting series that you're running, especially from a perspective that times are difficult. The external environment is difficult, but it's also important in this external environment to ensure that we keep our positivity and look for that opportunity that is going to be presented to us in India 2.0, as we call. So happy to share my experiences.
Yeah, I think hats off to Franchisee India, Sonali, and the entire team for doing a great job and spreading knowledge during this crisis so that people can acquire this knowledge and see how they can put that into action in their business and see how they can steer the business during this crisis period. So like Mr. Malay mentioned, it is really, really difficult situation. Like in every crisis, we have to see opportunity, and unless and until we don't move, things will never move, right? So it is very important that we all the attendees should hopefully benefit from this session and see how they can whatever little bit take home that they are going to have, how they can implement in their business and see that they are moving in the north direction.
Wonderful, sir. So I would just like to start by saying that while the negative impact of the COVID-19 crisis on human life and the economy has been unprecedented, the crisis definitely has posed firms across industries and geographies, especially the small and medium enterprises, SMEs, who we are targeting. They have innovated and transformed significantly to survive and overcome the challenges. So what do you think has been the impact of COVID-19 on SMEs in India particularly? If you can just share the negatives as well as the positives. Mr. Pugal, if we can just start with you.
Right, yeah. Yes, we all know that the COVID-19 pandemic has left a great impact on all sector of the economy, but the most hurt segment is the MSME segment of 6.34 crores of MSMEs in our country, and this has a ripple effect of close to about 11 crore workforce employed in this, which they are in the sad state of affairs. Now, this has actually brought the entire activity, operations, and commerce to a standstill. In fact, from various point, I can state that um, this is the third. Unfortunately, this is the third crisis for our MSMEs. So the earlier two crises, I mean, we can never forget is one is the November 8th of November 2016, which was the demonetization, which really these two things was like kind of a pandemic. So people were just slowly, I mean, recouping from the shock, and they were settling down. And the second crisis was not a crisis, but then, I mean, like, it was really a very hard transition period for every MSME by introduction of GST on 1st of July 2017. And unfortunately, this has been one of the uh, worst pandemic situation of the century. So, I mean, like, MSMEs being the backbone of the country, we have to just settle down. I mean, like, after two major crises, we have to settle down, and we will sail through this crisis also. And we have to move forward, under this current circumstances, keep resolving challenges. The greatest gift that we have is the resilience, and we have to seek opportunity in every crisis. Normally, during the crisis, knowledge and wealth needs to be deployed to seize new opportunities, right? So there have been negative parts. So, I mean, we can't cry over the spilled milk, but, I mean, like, the valuable takeover from this pandemic that every one of us have is the significance of the technology in business, and the digitization, the important role that digitization is playing, irrespective of the size of business. So it is important to create an agile, relevant, and robust technology based ecosystem to operate efficiently post lockdown. Okay? The lessons that we have actually learned should allow us to fortify our business from the impact of any future potential crisis. So it is important, I mean, like, make use of this time. See, now we have a lot of time, as I mean, like, the business is still not really kicked off, so we have time. How do we take advantage of this time and see how we can move our business into, I mean, like Mr. Molai said, we need to move our business into business 2.0, right? So we will actually surpass all this.
Absolutely, sir. So, Mr. Malloy, if you would like to add something to that. Sir,
A
you're
lot of
on mute.
yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. A lot of it has been said by Mr. Pugal, right? It has been very unprecedented, right? This is a pandemic, and the worst thing about the situation is no one knows where is the end of the tunnel, right? When it was the subprime crisis, people brought in money, and the reserve banks, central banks across the world pumped in money, and things changed. uh, GST we knew was more of structural changes that was happening in the business, but this is something that you don't know where it's going to end, and there's so much of uncertainty. The fact of the matter is, Sonali, if you look at the world over the past 20, 22 years, every 3, 4 years there has been a crisis. It started with 98, 99 with the dot-com bust, right? Then you had the terror attack in US in the early 2000s. Then you had the subprime crisis. Then you had the demonetization. Then you had GST impact, and now we have pandemic. I think one of the biggest learnings that all of us, including SMEs and MSMEs, and all of us need to take is every 3, 4 years there will be a crisis, and we need to be prepared to handle the crisis. It is not like the typical Hindi statement "chalta hai" attitude. I think the chalta hai attitude has to go. And when I see a lot of business owners coming to us for help, you realize that business owners have never even prepared themselves for normal business processes. Forget about abnormal business processes. Those things have to change. Who have survived today? Two kinds of business owners have survived. One who had a certain semblance of cash discipline. Because end of the day, you may have a huge revenue, but the reality is your cash in hand. I may be 100 crore business, but no cash flow doesn't make any sense to me, right? So they have survived. The second group of business owners who have survived are people who have been nimble enough in pivoting. That what else can we do? And I'll share an example out here. One of my coaching clients, she's into furniture making. So when we started talking to her in the month of March and after the announcement of the lockdown, we saw what else can we do? And within a matter of 3 weeks, we pivoted and she started making low quality, low cost hospital beds. Right? Now, that was not her target segment. But two things happened. One, she came under essential commodities. So her business was not shut down. Second, at least her fixed costs got covered. She did not make money, but at least her costs of the rental, the electricity, the employees, all those were getting covered. So in another month from now, when the economy really reopens, she will not be cash starved, right? She can restart her business. So we need to be ready and keep an open mind about what else can we do. And I remember, I think I made the statement when we had the first webinar in the month of March. And I made the statement that your success in life will depend upon how you are going to spend the next 8 to 12 weeks of your life. Are you going to become a couch potato looking at the Hotstars and the Netflix of the world? Or are you going to reinvent yourself? It's very important that nature had given us this time for us to introspect and look at ourselves, our businesses, our professions, that how can we do things differently? And people who have been able to do that have survived. Maybe they have not made money, but they're ready for the sprint, as we call it, when the sprint time comes. But there are a lot of people who have not used that time, like Mr. Pugal was saying, they have not used that time. Now, what can you talk to them about? Right? So I hope the participants here, you still have time. You still have another, I would give it another 3 weeks time for you to plan. Right? If you're able to plan your business, I think the India 2.0 is waiting for you.
Wonderfully said, sir. So this in turn also answers the next question that I was about to ask, which was, after the pandemic, can these micro and small businesses spearhead India's economic revival? So anything you would like to add to that, Mr. Meloy, first?
See, Indian economy cannot sustain without the small and the medium organizations. These are the foundations. Now, as a business owner, as a small and medium business owner, and when we were talking from Action Coach perspective, we drew 3 timelines. We said there has to be a period of survival, there has to be a period of revival, and there has to be a period of thriving, right? If you've been able to undergo that period of survival well, now is the period for revival. Now you have to look at opportunities. And today morning, I put up a post that it's actually a great time to be in business. Believe it or not, it's a great time to be in business. And there are 5 reasons to it. And I'll just share 3 reasons out here. One is your cost of doing business can come down significantly. No one is worried about your offices. No one is worried about what car you're driving. No one is worried what you're wearing, as long as your top half of your body is dressed when you're doing a Zoom call, right? Your marketing expenses have come down significantly, and your competitors are all struggling. So why is it a bad time to be in business, right? So going to answer your question more directly, yes, the SMEs and the MSMEs have to be the foundation for growth. There's no 2 ways about it. What can they do? One, they'll have to again introspect and see what are the other things that we can do in this changed economy. There's a change. World is not going to be the same again. So what are the new things that they can do? How do they become more efficient? And I'm sure Mr. Pugal will talk about automation and systemization of the business, right? How do they become more efficient? How do they increase the productivities going forward, right? Third, are you ready for that sprint? Because today there's no geographic limitation. You're selling from home, right? So where is the geographic limitation? So where else can I sell? my businesses, right? What else can I do? What are the pivoting strategies that I need to adopt? Look at an organization like mainland China. They may not categorize under the MSMEs, but look at they going into home delivery. Did anyone ever think about an organization like mainland China, a premium restaurant, talking about home delivery? So we will have to look at options of doing business in a different way. If we continue to do business the way it was, we will get the same results. We will have to think about doing business differently if we're expecting different results. Please understand, we are not trees. We are human beings. If things have not worked, please change the location. Please change. We have not grown roots. Please change. So change will be the buzzword going forward. That am I ready to change? Am I ready to think differently? Am I ready to look at my customers differently? Am I willing to look at my sales and marketing differently? Am I ready to look at my cash flows differently? Things will change, but you have to change. And it's the mindset that needs to change within us. That yes, there's a positivity that is associated. How do we address those positivity?
Wonderful, sir. Mr. Pugal, same question for you. So, do you also think that these SMEs will be able to spearhead India's economic revival?
Yes, definitely. I think Malay had very nicely covered the how you can revive. The first is that how do you the change or the revival starts from self. That how do I change? Like said, so I mean, like for things to change, we have to change, right? So how do we now get that mindset to change? And, like Malay said, this is the right time for us to, relook into our traditional way of our operations and all those things, and see how we can change things so that we can be future ready, right? And also and for the first time, if you see, the government is really serious about helping the MSMEs during this crisis. There are a lot of revival programs are there. They have to take advantage of that and see how they can you know take these opportunities, and then see how they can grow themselves and be ready for the future. And the best thing is that we are now creating a momentum in our country, vocal for local. So how are we going to get prepared? Because we have to face the global competition. So what kind of competency that we need to build, what kind of knowledge that we need to do? Because anything we cannot change anything overnight, right? So it takes time. So we have to take that first step, and take the baby step, start doing it, bring that willingness to basically to have a aspiration to take things forward and see, take advantage of the situation and then move forward. So each one of our MSMEs are able to take this seriously and then move it. Automatically our economy is going to revive, and it's going to be like all is well for everybody.
Wonderful, sir. So this in turn also answers our next question, which was about the key things to ensure speedy business revival for SMEs post COVID-19. So anything you would like to add to that as well, Mr. Pugal?
See, one is definitely digitization is going to be the mantra, and the social distancing becoming the norm. Post-pandemic world, if we see, they are waking up to the new business and culture, fundamentally altering all the management practices and other things. Now for MSMEs, for transforming digitally, it is going to be very difficult, and then you have to adopt that and see how you're able to bring those change in your organization, and see what kind of technology will suit them. See, earlier the technology has been in the forefront for almost, if you see, a decade, and in the last 5-6 years, the things like your IoT, your artificial AI and big data, and so many things which has come up. But MSME, if I see, I had an I had an chance. I mean, like, I had an option whether to embrace the technology or no. But today, I mean, like, you have no choice. You have to embrace the technology. You have to have your digital presence, and you have to see how you can, I mean, like, cater to your market or to your customers in whatever ways that you can do. So basically, I think this is what, some of the steps that the MSMEs have to take, and see that how quickly they can adopt to the changing situation or the changing scenario.
Wonderful. Mr. Malloy, would you like to say something to that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I can just add on to the vast multiple things that Mr. Pugal has already said. But the one thing that I want people to think through is the way you're conducting business has to change. Today, look at this entire sales and marketing piece, right? If you look at sales, India was traditionally an outbound sales market that had to go and meet customers and talk to them and meet them. No, that will not happen. Customers will be wary of meeting you for the next 6 months, right? Exhibitions are over. Networking events are over, right? So you have to significantly move away from that outbound sales to inbound. How do I pull customers to me? How am I present where my customers are there? So like there was a Q&A, and I'm sure you will address that at a later date, that if I can't go and meet my customers, how do I ensure that my customers get to see me? So what do I do about my social media? What is my digital marketing strategy? And believe me, these are not expensive. These are very, very reasonably priced. In fact, it's cheaper sometimes than asking your person to travel 20 kilometers by cab, by Ola, Uber, and then come back and meet a customer for 1 hour. These are much cheaper. So are we ready to change our mindset? Right? Like Mr. Pugal was saying, this would require a certain amount of technology. Are we ready to invest in this technology? Again, we have been fast forwarded as far as technology is concerned. I don't think India was ready for this digitization 1 year back. We all thought this would take about 7, 8, 10 years, but we have been fast forwarded. And now I cannot sit back and crib that I have been fast forwarded and I'll not accept it. We have to accept it. And it's not only the pandemic, Sonal, if you see, and Mr. Pugal, if you see, you look at the GST impact. Who are those companies who faced the brunt? People who did not have the systems in place. Why were the systems not in place? Because I always wanted to take a shortcut. Now today, the word shortcut has to go out from our dictionaries. We have to become an automated organization. We have to become a system-driven organization. And if the market is going to open up the way it's going to open up, where there will be no geographic limitations, and I can sell anywhere my services. I am today coaching people across the world. What is stopping me, right? Because I just need a computer and a good internet connectivity. Yes, there are products which we need to get shipped out. Are we ready to be a systemized organization? Because global organizations will come and ask me, right? That what are your systems? What are your processes? You cannot be a what we used to call the garage company anymore, right? Where you're running a business out of a garage and not doing systems. You may have grown large, you may have grown 50, 60, 100 crore, but your systems have not grown. That's where the main focus has to come in the next few months if you want to move into 2022, FY 2022 in a large scale. But it's possible. I don't think nothing that we have said is not possible, and nothing that both of us have said is very expensive, right? These are all doable things, even for a small organization.
Absolutely. So as all the COVID-19 restrictions begin to ease, organizations are assessing the impact on their transformation plans. Some of them are drastically scaling back, while others are massively accelerating as well. So according to you, how do we reset? Coming out of COVID-19, what should these organizations do to restart their businesses?
If I can come in here,
Yeah,
I think most organizations in the sector that we're addressing today doesn't have a business plan and doesn't have a marketing plan. I think the first thing that you need to look at is what are my marketing plans and what are my business plans? Do I need to scale forward or do I need to scale backward? Right? You need to build that plan in place. It is very difficult for me to answer you whether we should scale back or scale forward, because it will all be dependent on the organization's systems and products that they're addressing and the markets. But for every organization, and this is something that I keep on telling my coaching clients, that think of yourself in the pandemic as a long jumper. The further you want to jump, the more back you have to go, right? So if it means that you have to go backwards now and create that foundation for my long jump, let us do that. Let's build that foundation for a 25-story building. You cannot have a foundation for a 5-story building and dream of creating a 25-story building, right? So we need to work downwards now. This year, the next year till FY21, the next 6-7 months should be towards how do I restructure my businesses? How do I look at people? Look at people today. A lot of people have lost their jobs. We all know that. A lot of good, talented people have lost their jobs for no fault of theirs, right? So people are available. Go and build your teams. And these individuals are available to you at a discount. You would not have got them in the month of January at what you are getting them today, right? So build your team, build your systems, build your marketing. And if you do all that at a no additional incremental cost, why can't you be looking at that long jump? But unfortunately, and let me add here, Sonali, I'll take a minute more of your time. Let me add this, that a lot of people are in bed. And we want people to come out of bed. And for the people who are not aware of this bed concept, bed stands for blame, excuses, and denials. Today, a lot of us are blaming Manmohan Singh, to Narendra Modi, to the Chinese premier, to Saktikanta Das, to Donald Trump for the situation that I am in. Unless we change our mindset and say, whatever situation I am in is because of my doing, and only I can change it, nothing is going to happen. So you need to come out of bed, blames, excuses, and denials. You cannot be living or running any business by having these 3 points. You have to move into if you think about your life and your business as a ship, you need to control the oar yourself. And oar stands for ownership, accountability, and responsibility. You move away from bed, get into the ship, take control of the oar. Cyclones will come. Subprime crisis will come, demonet will come, GST will come, pandemics will come, and there is only one guarantee that every 3-4 years there will be one more crisis coming up. But once you're holding that oar strongly, your business can reach the destination that you have envisaged. Otherwise, you will be jumping around in that water with no control. And everyone will be coming and hitting you, and end of the day, you will remain at the same place. And you will see others having moved ahead.
Absolutely. So wonderfully said. Mr. Puggal, if you would just like to add to that.
Sure. Very well said, Mr. Mulai. See, I mean, let me just give another perspective. So if you see, Mr. Mulai had actually given a very good perspective on, the market facing or the front stage perspective. Let me just go to the backstage, right? And you see now for the next 6 to 12 months, we will have to bring a paradigm shift in the way that the way we work, the way we think, the way we believe, and the way we act. So we have to be innovative and we have to reboot our organization. So what are basically today and for the next 8 to 12 months, what is the survival thing that you need to do? So during this pandemic, one very important thing that the businesses have to take care is about the TRP. Now, when I'm talking about the TRP, it is not the TRP television rating. It is how do you utilize your time, resources, and what kind of processes that you are going to, the change in the process that you are going to bring in your organization so that, you can sustain, survive, and thrive, right? So the three C's, basically, if you see, if you're able to, the immediate requirement for the businesses today is that you have to, at least try to adopt these three C's. What are the three C's, right? One is yes, the most important thing is your cash flow management. So how are you managing your cash flow? What kind of, controls that you're bringing in your organization so that, you have a better control over your uh, cash flow. The second aspect, the second C is the cost cutting, right? What are the ways that you can, bring down your cost so that, you bring, increase your bottom line and see how you can, survive. In case of cutting, if you see, during my interactions with the MSME owners and many during my many sessions that I've discussed, one thing that I've realized during my interactions with these people is that, yes, we are aware of all those visible costs which are there, but we are losing focus on the cost which are invisible, basically, the sunken cost. Like one simple example, how do you manage that? Like, for example, in case of a cash flow management, so I represent a technology company which is Tally Solutions, and if you see, every business today, definitely, like Mr. Malai mentioned, that the difficulty people were having in the GST compliance was because they were not adopting the technology, and it was very difficult for them to manage. So if it definitely, they have to have a business solution, and today it is very important that you have a business solution which is integrated, so which can take care of your financial requirement, your inventory management system, and most importantly, your compliance system, right? So how do you manage your simple techniques that you can bring in your organization? I'm sure many of you who are using any kind of a business solution software, definitely you will have these kind of features, functionalities, and other thing. How do you start leveraging them? It's a very simple thing. So the most important thing today in your cash flow management is the receivable management. And of course, payable is also very important, because otherwise you lose your credibility in the market. So how do you manage your receivable and payable management? So during this crisis, and how do we have better control? Definitely, yes, as a business, every one of us would have done a due diligence of their customer, and I'm sure many of you would have adopted the policy of, the Pareto's principle, where the 80-20. So they have to now see what are those 20% of the customer which can give them 80% of business. Right. So I'm sure that definitely many of them would have done this due diligence. And now with this 20%, how do you start managing your cash flow? Right. So basically, if you see, you have to have a standard credit period set, so that you have a better control over your outstanding management. And is it possible for you to set up a credit limit, so that your system can start giving you those alerts, and probably it could stop you in case if you are billing beyond the credit limit that the person has been set with. System should basically stop the person to uh, you know give him an indication of saying that this is what is happening. The other important thing, which is the invisible or the sunken cost, which I was mentioning about earlier, is see, when as a business, when I'm deciding a credit term with my customer, or a credit period when I'm doing, so generally, I have various points. I take various parameters into consideration, and then I decide, yes, okay, this is what basically 30 days is going to be my credit period. And many of the businesses today in our India, we are dependent on borrowed capital for our operations. So borrowed capital definitely incurs cost of interest. So we have a borrowed capital uh, taken from the banks, or non-banking financial corporation, and we pay interest. And every sales that you make on credit to your customer is basically you are giving them a interest-free working capital. right? So that sustenance period of 30 days, 15 days, whatever is your credit policy, I mean, so far it is fine. But anything which is beyond that is where, it is, I mean, they lose out on the return on investment. What is the kind of loss that they are incurring? So do they have a system where they can find out what is the loss of interest on the overdue outstanding? Right. And you see, today's situation, I mean, it is very difficult to tell my customer saying that if your bill is overdue, I'm going to charge you interest. Nobody is going to pay. At least can I use those features if it is available in my system, and see if I can do a what if analysis. It is now going to give me an awakening call saying that, see, this is where your bottom line is getting sunk. Right. The other aspect is basically the one of the other cost cutting aspect is that, how are you managing your inventory aspect of it? Do you know what items are fast moving, slow moving, non moving? So these information gives me a better decision point to see how I can convert my inventories into invoice, and invoice into cash immediately. So for all this, the third important C that is required is choosing the right technology. Right? Adopting the right technology, choosing the right technology, not just choosing the right technology, leveraging the right technology for your business growth. This is very, very important.
Sonali,
Yeah.
sorry, let me just add on to what Mr. Pugal said. He brought in a very interesting concept, right? When I talk to my coaching clients and I tell them, how will you improve your position because you're not doing too well? They say that, sir, we will increase sales, right? That's the easiest thing to say. But increasing sales without having control on your account receivables is only going to overload your cash system, right? Because like Mr. Pugal said, you're giving away working capital for free to somebody else, whereas you're paying interest on it. So I tell people that look at your three areas. What is your account receivable? And typically forget the forget COVID era, forget FY21. FY20, if any of the business owners are going to measure their account receivable over last 3 years, they will see a increasing curve. That is one of the biggest challenges with businesses. Somewhere you have seen 60 to 75 to 90 days, which means at some point in time, if we're able to collect in 60 days, today, why am I not able to collect in 60 days? And the only word that I use for those business owners and the salespeople, they have got lazy. They are not collecting, right? That is one. Second, your inventory costs. There is no inventory planning in many organizations. And again, systemization will bring in that you have no clue what is your system, what is your inventory management, inventory cost. Dell does it, your inventory turnover in 1 day. I know we cannot reach Dell, right? But can we at least have 20 days, 30 days, 40 days, and not 60 days and 120 days? The third is no one looks at cash gap. This concept is missing in the Indian SME and the MSME sector. What is cash gap? You have brought in from a vendor and you have paid him on a particular date, but you have transformed that product component and made into your final product and sold it to somebody else on X day and given him 60 days credit. So if your transformation was 30 days and your credit is 60 days, your cash gap is 90 days, your money is blocked in the system. Who's tracking it? No one is tracking it. And the fourth thing, which is not this related, and the fourth thing is admin costs. Why do admin costs have to go up year on year? Are you looking at people and saying, are they contributing to getting me a sale? Or are they contributing into managing a customer? If an individual is not doing either of these two, either change his role or he has to be changed. Because the only reason we survive in an organization is when we take care of our customers. You're not there to serve tea, coffee. You're not there to open and close the office. You have to be contributing to customers always, to revenue. When you look at these four things, and even if you don't increase sales in FY21, you will see a huge impact on your cash flows, and which is your real money.
Very practical advice, Mr. Malloy and Mr. Pugal. And one question which is there on every business owner's mind, and which directly corresponds to the previous question that I said, is how do we navigate the disruption in our timelines, in our staffing, and in our potential budget issues, uh, especially during this time?
It has to be a zero budgeting again. You cannot be doing a budgeting based on what you did in FY20 or FY19 or FY20. It has to be zero budgeting. What are the products that I will sell? What is my market segmentation? What are the costs that I need to incur? If I was starting a business today, if I were to start a business as on 1st of August 2020, how would I look at this entire business? Right? So the entire thing has to be relooked. And today, at least for the next 8-9 months, it has to be monitored, whatever cash flow you make. Sorry to say, a lot of business owners don't have cash flows. Sorry to say, a lot of business owners don't have rolling 12-month sales forecast. We need to make that and work on it on a weekly basis, monitor. But having said that, we have spoken a lot of tough things out here, right? Not so pleasant things. I would request all the business owners to think of that day when they started the business and when they were planning to start the business. What are all the things that they were doing? The one common word was excitement, right? They need to build in that excitement now. We have survived the pandemic. We are restarting our business. So it's also a time for celebration. It's also time for telling people that we are there, we have survived. It's also telling people within your system, within your organization, that please come, I'm waiting for you. Please come, I'm waiting to see your face. I have not seen your face for 4 months. Everything that needs to be announced, right? Go and announce to your clients. Go and announce to your competitors. Go and make those announcements. Think of all those announcements that you did then. You need to do them now, because whatever said and done, whatever has happened, Sonali, we have survived. Our businesses have survived. It's also time to celebrate survival over dash dash. I'm not going to use that word, right? So while you look at your numbers, while you look at your forecasting, while you relook at everything zero-based, you also need to look at the celebration mode. You also need to look at every single individual who's coming to work for you. And they are coming because they need to earn a livelihood, right? They are probably not coming out of choice. Given the choice, they would prefer to stay at home for another 2 months, but they need the cash in their system, right? So when they are coming, welcome them. Give them that comfort. Treat every employee as a new employee again. And you will see people getting together. When you look at March, suddenly productivity dropped as people started working from home, right? It took some time before productivity went up. And today we all know we're working 12, 14 hours a day. Productivity is very high. When you're restarting your business, productivity will again go down. Be ready for it, because people will come with some kind of mindset issues. You have to give them that comfort. So be ready for a drop in productivity. Don't expect the productivity that you're getting today to be there in 1st of September when your business starts. Be ready for that. Be ready. As a business owner, you're not only a business owner, you're a psychologist. You're a psychiatrist. You have to manage minds of multiple people around you. So build that capability within you. You have survived, you will survive. Give that confidence to yourself and your team. And India 2.0 is waiting for you.
Wonderful, Mr. Malloy. Mr. Pugal, if you would just like to add to that.
Yes, definitely. Very well said, Mr. Malloy. I just want to, bring some, an awakening call kind of a thing. Basically, if you see, life is designed not to give what you want, but life is designed to give what you deserve. It's very important. right? So again, what is that, whatever budgeting and all those things, in case if you're talking about budgeting, if you are thinking of it, a very important budgeting that all MSMEs have to implement in the organization is the 70-20-10. So what is this 70% of your revenue, flow it back into your operations. The 20% is what you should keep aside or invest in the technology, because technology is going to play a very, very vital role, whether there is pandemic or no pandemic. Technology is the thing that is going to drive you further. And the next 10%, like Mr. Malay mentioned, that invest on your staff, invest on your workforce, because they are the one who are going to take your organization to the next level. So this is important budgeting that is required. And the most important thing, again, the 4 A's, they have to be aware of this 4 A's for them to conquer. So one is, yes, adapt to any situation. Today you have a pandemic situation of corona. Tomorrow, like Mr. Morai said, every 3 years, 4 years, yes, that kind of a crisis is always coming. So how do you adapt to the situation, and what are the things that you can adopt, so that you can survive and thrive, and then move on like nothing has happened, sail through the crisis. Affirm yourself. Make affirmation that what is that you want to do, what is my planning, what is my future planning, talking about the cash flow, right? So did you, in fact, very well said by Mr. Malay, that many of us, again, we don't know what is my cash position next 3 months, 8 months, and what is my projections. In fact, again, I'm coming back to a technology. If you're using a technology, and if you're managing your receivable, payable, properly, and you are on top of it, generally your cash flow and fund flow should be by click of a button. You should be getting this information when you're using a software technology. And the best part is that how you can leverage and see what kind of projection. See, the projection is very important. One is your sales projection, and your other revenue projections that you're going to do. The next is that how do you project your outstanding, which becomes again part of your sales. And the most important thing is that how do you bring in the projection of your recurring costs, because that's very important. How do you bring that? Because those have not occurred, so you have to bring that as a part of projection information. So you can make just pass that as an optional transaction, where you capture your recurring expenses, the fixed cost, so that you will have a clear visibility of your cash flow. Right. So like this, a lot of, affirm yourself that, you're going to adopt technology and see how you're going to make this thing. And the best part is that, my affirmation that I'm going to do should allow me to accomplish. So I should not sleep till I accomplish. Right. In fact, our great leader, Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and he said, dream is not that what you see when you sleep. Dream is something that it should never allow you to sleep. Right. So it is very important.
Let me add something here, Sonali, with your permission. Yep.
Of course.
No, see, if you look at the last 45 minutes that we've been speaking, we've all been speaking about internal, right? What do we need to do internally? Like Mr. Pugal was saying, internally, how do I change myself? How do I make myself ready for success? The systems and processes, etc. Let's not forget that we are all here because of our customers, right? What are we doing for our customers during this era? Our customers are also going through the same trauma. Probably they are not able to complete their manufacturing process because I have not been able to give them enough component on time. So their cash flows also have got affected. Their customers are also getting affected. Am I in daily touch with my customer? If not daily, a weekly connect with my customer. Am I speaking to them? They also know I can't do anything about it. But are we giving them that comfort that we are there? Honestly, I've seen so many when I keep on sending emails to a lot of companies, I get auto responses. Because of government regulations, my business is shut down. I will call you after a month. please understand this is the message that the customer is also getting, right? Should my customer get these kind of messages? Because my entire business depends on him. Tomorrow, he has a choice to go back to my competitor. Should I allow that to happen? So what am I doing with my customers? How am I giving them comfort? How am I keeping them informed? How am I ensuring that they're aligned to my thinking? How do they know what process I am doing at what stage of the lockdown that I am in? Am I keeping them informed? As a sales team, there's nothing much you can do. But but one thing that you can do is speak to your customers regularly. Don't spoil the relationships that have been built. Build those relationships, strengthen them, so that when everything is recovers, they are there for you and you're there for them. So let's not forget that basic premise of any business, that I'm here to sell to my customer. And for that, I need my customer. I may have a great product. I may have great internal systems. I may have great budgets. I may have great cash flows. I may have everything. If I don't have customer, I'm dead. Right? So please ensure that customers are taken care of. Speak to them regularly, right?
Absolutely, sir. Wonderfully said. So, Mr. Pugal, so the next question will specifically be for you. Since Tally Solutions is a technology service provider, so would you like to propose some measures for leveraging technology for accelerating growth of the sector? And if you would like to suggest long-term solutions for the economic sustainability of the MSME sector related to leveraging technology?
Yes. So one, yes, definitely. I mean, like the largest part of the technology that any business is going to adopt is going to be a business solution, right? So whatever is the business solution that you are having. In fact, I had mentioned earlier in the previous question that how do you start leveraging those technologies and see because there are two challenges. One is that what is, if you see, if, as a businessman, for me, I have two very important challenges. One is, what is the challenges that today I'm facing in my business, and how do I start managing it? So your business software solution that you're using should allow you to give you a comfort feeling of, like being on top of your business. Right. So there are various things that you can do. I mean, like, like in case in the previous question, you said budgeting, right? So, I mean, like, you really don't have to do it. Just capture the 3-4 figure, what you think that you want to achieve, and the system is going to give you the information. Because today, information is knowledge, and data speaks the truth, and it breaks the myth, right? So it is very important that you adopt it. So various technology techniques can be adopted, like, you can have your better receivable payable management, and then, you can have your manufacturing processes done. And very important is that how do you, like, one of the biggest I mean, like the blockage of working capital in any business, if you see, especially in case of a trader or a manufacturer, is that 40%, 40 to 50% of the current asset that they are holding is in the form of inventory, right? The longer the inventory is in the organization, the longer is the working capital blockage, right? So how do you use this business solution technology and see how you can manage? Do you have visibility of your commitment to your customers? Because today it is very, very important that, you keep up to the commitment, because as it is, getting business is very difficult. And if you are not able to keep up to the commitment, then it is going to be a disaster, right? So how do you have control over your commitments, and what kind of inventories have you ordered? And see, do you know that what is the inventory that is required for you, right? And also it is very important now and going forward that all this becomes a radical change that we want to bring in our perception of how we want to manage our business going forward, right? So basically, I mean, like, do I have a visibility of what products are giving me better profitability, what products don't give me better profitability, and I make an invoice. Now I make an invoice to a customer. Do I know that did I really make profit out of this invoice, right? And what item I need to order, what is my reorder level? So you have technology today, your software today, any software that you're using today definitely should have these features. And in Tally you have all these features where you can actually build a suite of those features, and get all those information at your fingertip. So that's from your business perspective, which is the first part A of your resolution of a problem. Part B is where how do you now start adopting various other technologies. Like, it is very simple today. I mean, like, any software is very easily affordable, and today if you see the way these softwares are designed and developed, it is more like a DIY, like do it yourself. And you have the world of knowledge is available on the internet, so you really don't have to be handicapped. In fact, I mean, like, in the recent survey, there was 70% of MSMEs. It was found out that 70% of MSMEs were still offline, which means, basically they were not adopting the technology. And the reason cited was that, they are not aware of it. I mean, like, they don't have knowledge of it. They don't have information. They don't have required manpower, right? So for all this, you have internet today, which you can can adopt it. And then, there's so many. I mean, in fact, when I was just browsing through the net, I just came across one very interesting article where it said there are close to about 95 productivity tool. Majority, in fact, every one of them offer at least the basic version, free basic version. Like, you have from email marketing to your controlling of your I mean, CRM, and so many things are there. All you need to do is see that how you can start adopting those technologies, and see what is good for your organization, how these technologies can bring efficiency and effectiveness of your operations in your organization, is what is very critical and very important. Technology is the only survival kit going forward for all of us, whether it is business or whether it is in our personal life, right? So we have to adopt, embrace technology, and whatever technology you are having, please put effort into it and see how you can get the best out of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the next question I would like to ask to Mr. Malloy specifically. So Mr. Malloy's statistics suggest that 80% of businesses close down in the first 5 years of operation, and 75% of businesses which cross the 5 year threshold close down in the next 5 years. So, as a leading business coaching company, what do you think are the main reasons, and where do you think these business owners should spend maximum of their times so that such a situation does not arise?
Okay. So this will be a slightly longish answer, so pardon me for that. Right. But I'll keep it as short as possible with time running out. See, let's look at an entrepreneur. And all of us love calling ourselves entrepreneur. Are we truly an entrepreneur, or are we self-employed in our own businesses? That's a question that we need to ask. And you will see many of the businesses, many of the small and medium businesses, we are not an entrepreneur, we are an self-employed in our business. Nothing moves, not even a leaf will move without my physical presence, physical intervention at all point in time. Why does this happen? The primary reason why it happens is people who start businesses are typically great technicians. They have great domain knowledge in one particular area, and they start a business. No one has taught them how to run a business, whether it's a doctor starting his own nursing home, or whether it's a plumber who was working in a 5-star hotel and got great reviews and started a plumbing company. No one has taught them how to run a business. So they are great technicians who get into business. Now, as they start slowly growing, they work what we call the seesaw. One day they are doing business development, and second day they are doing delivery, right? So they are constantly on that seesaw. As the seesaw succeeds, they get into hiring of people, but no one has taught them how to hire people, right? They've not been trained. So they have a pinch in their pocket because they don't want to spend too much money. So they hire low quality people. Now, when the low quality people are hired, they put on fires rather than put off fires. So this business owner is now running around the mulberry tree, putting out the fires that his employees have put on, right? So one day he gets so frustrated, he says, why do I need these employees who are only lighting fires and I have to go and put them off? So let me sack all of them. And he comes back into that seesaw, which is the self-employed. So he works the hardest. And because he's a great technician, he can see the future. So he sees products, services, money from a distance. He sees that visibility. He works the hardest. He doesn't take holiday because he can't afford a holiday, right? He's always stressed. He lands into health problem. And in Bombay, we have the severe problem of stress gastritis. And the funny part is, he earns the least in his organization. And this is what is called the entrepreneur conundrum. You're juggling too many balls and not being able to manage one of them. So you're better being part of a circus. Now, how long can an individual do this? Hence, statistics say that people get burnt out by doing this, right? So in the first 5 years, a lot of people get burnt out because they're not able to establish the product or service in the market. So that's okay, because you have the wrong product, wrong service, you have the wrong customer, that's also okay. But people who cross that 5-year threshold, they get burnt out. They can't do it anymore, because just imagine yourself working 20 hours a day, trying to manage customers, trying to manage delivery, trying to manage cash flow, trying to manage bankers, trying to manage your team, trying to manage whether, so you have turned the entire business world from BUSINESS to BUSYNESS. You're busy in your business. You're on that treadmill. You're running from morning to evening, but not reaching anywhere. Right? That's the burnout syndrome. So as action coach, we tell them, see, end of the day, why are you in business? You're in business for 2 reasons. Because every business owner has a personal goal that needs to be fulfilled through his professional goals. So are you aware of what personal goal do you have, right? And how are you fulfilling that? Second is, if you want to be a successful business owner, you have to think in terms of freedom from business. A business which runs without me, for which there is a process, there's a step. You will have to look at your money piece, you have to look at your product piece, you have to look at your delivery piece, you have to look at your sales and marketing, you have to look at your team, you have to look at your systems. Once you run through this journey, you get into a stage where the founder of Virgin, he says, if you know how to run one business, you can run multiple businesses because the principles remain the same. But a lot of people try to run multiple businesses without learning how to run one of them. And that's where they land up in trouble. So when we walk through these 6 steps, and it takes different organizations, take different time frame, you reach that stage where you talk in terms of freedom. Now your freedom from time, your freedom of money. So either you can use your current business as passive income, or you can fulfill your other personal goals, or you can do whatever you want to. Go to Bahamas and rest for 6 months. Come back and find a roaring business, right? But for that, you have to walk that step, and you cannot be in that entrepreneur conundrum. So that's what we tell people. It is possible, provided you want to do it. And honestly, I don't like the phrase "I want," because I want to do multiple things. I want to become the Prime Minister of the country. I want to become Mr. Mukesh Ambani, right? That want word has to be changed to I will. I will become a free entrepreneur. The moment you bring in that word I will, there's nothing that can stop you from achieving what you want in life.
Wonderfully said, sir. So it has been a pleasure, Mr. Pugal, Mr. Malloy. It has been an absolute delight having you here. And I'm sure we can go on with this conversation for another hour. But unfortunately, we are short of time and we have already crossed our time limit. So I would just like to wrap up the session over here.
There are 3 questions. Would you want to address them on the Q&A? Because
yes, if time permits for you. And
I leave it to you. I'm good for time, Mr. Pugal. I'm sure we'll spend 5 minutes.
Yes, sure.
Sure. So the first question that we have is that SMEs still need time to rebound and recover. Can increasing marketing budget and pivoting the business help in this case?
Okay, so let me take that because I was speaking on those lines. At no
Yes.
point in time I said increasing marketing budgets. You have to look at doing your marketing consistently by finding out ways how you can do it at a reduced budget. And there are ways of doing it, right? So you will have to keep those budgets because there's no point putting in additional expenditure when there's no revenue coming in. But that should not stop you from looking at marketing. So what are the various, and like Mr. Pugal said, there's CRM packages, there's digital marketing, there's so much you can do at low cost. Are we leveraging on them? So once you've leveraged on them, and then you can look at increasing your marketing budgets, but not at this point in time. But don't forget to do marketing.
Right. Mr. Pugal, would you like to share something on that as well?
Yes, I mean, like very well articulated by Mr. Malay that yes, today, I mean, like in fact, literally today, you can have a zero marketing budget.
Correct.
Right. So the question is, where are you finding your customer? Right. So these are some of the, I mean, like steps that you can take and try out. I mean, this is something which you are going to try and see what kind of strategy works for you. And you don't need investment for that. I mean, like all you need to do is just go to the net. I mean, like there's breadth of knowledge and breadth of information available to you, which you need to.
Let me add here, Sonali, there is a cycle, right? And we have to be aware of that cycle. The cycle is, why do customers buy from you? Customers buy from you because they trust you, right? When will they trust you? When they like you. When will they like you? When we are able to influence their thought process. And how will you influence their thought process? By building visibility. So by having a YouTube channel of 2-minute videos, 20 videos, going on social media, going to the websites, writing, teaching, like what you are doing currently. What you're doing is exactly that, right? You're giving knowledge, right? So someday this will leverage. So by building that the knowledge levels, you're influencing people. They will start liking you. They will start trusting you, and then they will come and buy from you. And none of this costs money, except the internet cost and a good computer and a webcam.
And in fact, I'll just add one more point where you spoke about, having your YouTube channel. See, for you, having a YouTube channel, it is very, very simple. I mean, like you have your technology with you, you have your mobile phone, and it takes 10 minutes for you to have your thing. But how do you get your subscriptions? I'm going to give you some nice jugaad, right? So how do you, I mean, like, increase your subscription? Very simple. Now, every one of you here, I mean, I'm sure that you will have at least about 150 plus I mean, contacts or network with you. Very simple. How do you bring your visibility so that you are on top of the search thing? Like it is almost like you can do your SEO, right? So very simple. Just call your 150, send you a link of your videos to all your 150 network that is there. Just ask them to see it, and then one is subscribe, and just the moment view it is also enough. Like is also not required. So that way, what happens? Your visibility comes. And how do you repay them? Very simple. I mean, like give them this idea in case if they don't have, let them start it. Or if they have their channel, you subscribe it. It's a give and take, and then it's a win-win situation.
Absolutely.
Like this, there are a lot of things. All you need is time to think and see that what is the difference that you can bring in what you do. That is very important.
Yeah. Like Sonali said, we could go on and on this topic. So Sonali, let's jump on to the second question.
Definitely. So the second question that we have is, technology implementation is highly advised for SMEs right now. Should automated chatbots be added on the website or not, according to you? So the person says that I sell homemade jewelry to customers. So how can I grow more besides digitizing my business?
Okay,
So
so
firstly,
you respond on the chatbots. I will talk on how to grow the business. Mr. Pugal.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, let me. So I don't think you don't need to do anything extra, right? If you are she's a homemade jewelry, you said,
yes, right.
right? What is your contact level of WhatsApp, of Facebook, and LinkedIn? How many people are you talking to on a daily basis between that contact list? Because unfortunately, we have become so digitized that our relationships have become extremely weak. Build those relationships. Good time to build relationships. People are free. People are waiting for a call. No one is talking to them. They can't go and see anybody's face. Please go and talk to them. You have multiple ways of reaching out to people. If you're a homemade jewelry, you have multiple ways. Don't get into those chatbots at this point in time because they're expensive, right? So whatever you need to do that. But build relationships. There's so many. I'm sure you have 1,000 connects. And even if you call each one of them, or you do 10 calls a day, you will require 100 days to make those 1,000 calls. And then you can go back. Build those relationships. Yep.
Absolutely. And Mr. Pugal, if you would just like to shed some light on whether automated chatbots should be added on websites for SMEs in general, not for this specific question,
Okay.
but for
SMEs in general.
I mean, couple of things. Like, yes, definitely, you need to bring advancement in your technology. But then the first thing is that, see, it's a major transition that is happening for majority of our Indian MSMEs, right? So a transformation or transition to a technology first should see that how you are going to bring maximum personal touch to the transition and the adoption of the technology, right? And then as we start graduating in our business, as we have more people, then we can start bringing this artificial intelligence into it, right? And again, it depends on, like what is the cost that is getting involved. I mean, do you have, the most important thing that you need to see is, yes, I mean, so many people are doing it, even I want to do it, but then are you getting a return on investment, right? So those are some of the things that is very important that you need to assess before you plunge into it.
So on the chatbot, Sonali, if I can add, before you get into the chatbots, you have to figure out what is the number of visitors who are hitting your channel or your website, right? If people are not coming to see your website, then why do you have all those technology? Nothing is going to change. So please drive traffic first onto your website, and then you can look at upgrading technology.
Absolutely. So, sir, the remaining two questions that we have are some way or the other, we have tried to cover them up in our previous questions as well, because they are more about growing your business and surviving during this time. So, with that in mind, and also keeping the time in mind,
I understand.
I would just request both of you once again. I would like to thank both of you again. It has been a pleasure. It didn't really seem like a formal interaction, but mostly you two being actively involved, and it just looked so effortless. And I'm sure all the attendees feel the same way. And so thank you so much, Mr. Pugal, Mr. Malloy. It was wonderful having you both with us. Any last thoughts that you would like to share for SMEs in India? Any message you would like to give to them?
Okay. My last message is, I've been teaching for last 20 years, and I didn't consider till the month of March that I could be a webinar person. And today, Sonali gives me the biggest compliment that it seems so effortless, right? So if I can learn, everyone else can learn, right? That is first. Second, just to pick on what Mr. Pugal said about individuals, I would like to leave behind a formula for change for people. That is BE. B multiplied by DO is equal to have. And let me expand it for a minute. We all know what we want from life, the haves that we want from life, assuming it is 100, right? And today I count myself as number one. B is 1, right? Now, which means if it's a multiplication factor, I need to do 100 different do's to get 100 different haves. So 1 into 100 becomes 100. But like Mr. Pugal said, if I transform myself slightly and move from 1 to 2, the multiplication factor will show that I don't need to do 100 different things to get 100 different outcome. I just now need to do 50 things, because 2 into 50 is 100. And even if I'm able to do all the 100 that I had planned, my outcomes will double. End of the day, please work on yourself. Jim Rohn has said, last comments, Jim Rohn has said, work more on yourself than your business. Please do that. Thank you very much, Sonali. Thank you, Mr. Fugal, and thank you, everybody. And I'm happy to connect with anybody who wants to connect with me.
So it's an important three words that you have to remember, uh, which can take you to the next level is that one, yes, we need to arise, right? I mean, first is that you have to awaken yourself to the situation, awaken. Then, you arise to the situation. And the third one is that, you achieve it, right? What you intend to do, you achieve it. Go with the determination. And I'm wishing all the very best. And thank you, Sonali, and thank you, Mr. Mrai. Excellent thought thing. So you've given a lot of seed capital for me to, for my upcoming webinars and sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Pleasure connecting with Mr. Pugal.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sonali.
Thank you so much, Mr. Malloy. Thank you so much, Mr. Pugal. Once again, thank you to all our attendees for being a part of this session. If you have any queries, any concerns at all, or if you would like to connect with Mr. Malloy or Mr. Pugal about their individual companies, you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me, and I would make sure that all your queries are delivered to the right person. So once again, since this is a SME series, we'll see you once again next Thursday at 3 o'clock. So please make sure you join us then as well. And until then, please stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you so much, everyone.